This is J. Krishnamurti's sixth discussion with teachers and students at Brockwood Park, 1972.
What shall we talk about?
I wanted to know really what's the meaning of to give the utmost.
When you are working in the garden, you give your utmost energy, yes, attention.
But what all that is involved in this word, you know?
Utmost of your energy, utmost of your attention, utmost of your care, whole of that is involved in it. What should we talk about apart from that one?
So can we consider the question of suffering in understanding? Suffering is necessary.
Is suffering necessary? You want to talk about it? Don't be half-hearted about it. If you don't want to discuss that, don't discuss it. Discuss something else.
Oh, could we talk about attention? What it means to give attention?
That's what he means.
Yes.
Oh. Give your mind, your heart, your nerves, your wholeheartedly to a thing.
But I mean, in the sense, is it true that the human mind can only be aware of one thing at one time?
Obviously. But, now, sir, wait a minute. Let's go slowly at this. What would you like to discuss? Probably we have two more discussions. I leave on Sunday evening, so perhaps not Sunday morning because it'll be too much. So, today and Friday we'll discuss. Is that all right? So, what shall we discuss?
I'd like to talk about seriousness, how to be serious.
How to be serious.
And how it would relate to joy and happiness,
How to be serious, what is its relation to joy and suffering and attention, right? Oh my Lord. First we talk about what is a good mind, good brain. Shall we? And then come to this. What is a good brain with an excellent quality? A brain that is not damaged. A brain that is whole, healthy, and efficient, strong. From that, we'll discuss the rest, shall we? Is that all right? What do you think is a good brain? When you say, oh, he has got a very good brain, what does that mean? Haven't you heard that phrase?
Yes.
He's got a very good brain, that man or that woman, very clever. What do you think is a good brain?
A not fragmented brain. A not fragmented brain.
Yes, not fragmented. Now, do you work it out, sir? You think it out together. Let's think it out together. Whether what is a good brain, and whether each one of us could have that good brain, not define it and then conform to the definition, You follow? I wonder if you... We define what's a good brain and then try to reach that good brain, or try to attempt to have that brain. We're not doing that. What we're trying to find out is what is a good brain and whether you can have such a good brain. A brain that is damaged is not a good brain, right? What do you mean by that word damaged?
Conditioned.
Conditioned. A damaged brain. How does a brain get damaged? Through disease? Haven't you known children, poor unfortunate children, whose brain is damaged, half developed, and they have all kinds of trouble? That's not a good brain, right? A brain that's constantly in conflict is not a good brain. Do you see that? Is your brain in conflict? Conflict may sharpen the brain. You understand? Like a knife, very sharp. But it's not a good brain. It has developed along a certain particular line. So a good brain is an undamaged brain, which means a brain that is not in conflict at any time. Because the moment there is a conflict, it's like friction in a gearbox, like putting sand in a gearbox. Gears wear out. So conflict is one of the factors that prevents having a good brain. Shall we go on from that? Are you in conflict? This is not a talk and you just listen, pass by. You have to find out whether you've got a good brain. Or a brain that's merely clever, efficient, cunning, but in conflict. Right? So is your brain in conflict? We'll come back to that. And a brain that's always comparing itself with what it thinks is a better brain, such a brain is always either conforming, imitating, or in revolt. Are you following this or not? Am I going too quickly? Well, Nelson, do you see it? When I measure when my brain measures itself against your brain, the motive in that comparison is to become like you or go beyond you. Right? When I compare myself with you, the factor is that I am imitating you, or that I want to go beyond you, or I want to conform to my image of a good brain. Are you following this? Oh Lord, come on, sir. So, a brain that is physical damage is not a good brain. Though it's unfortunate, more and more cases are happening of children being born through wrong use of drugs, all kinds of things. So that is not a good brain. A brain in conflict is not a good brain. Right? A brain that's comparing itself with another brain is not a good brain. Because in that comparison, in that measurement, there is fear, there is conformity, imitation, and conflict to be some, to achieve a greater capacity, a greater conformity to a projection of itself. I wonder if you get all this. Am I going too fast? No? Right. Is your brain comparing itself with another brain? When you read a good author, when you read a beautiful poem, or in your class when you are studying mathematics and you say, and you might have the desire to have a brain, a first class brain of a mathematician. Which is, you have an image of a first class mathematician, you project that image and try to conform or imitate or become like that. So, conformity, measurement, comparison doesn't make for a good brain. Are you doing it? Apply it. Don't apply it to yourself and find out if you're doing that. Right? Said good brain has no conflict. A good brain doesn't compare. Do you know what it means? Never to compare yourself with another. Either in your looks, in your dress, in your opinions, in your values. Do you know what it does to the brain when you do that? Come on. Come on, let's discuss it.
It makes it inferior. If you're comparing yourself
with somebody, it makes it inferior.
Yes.
Or superior.
Or superior.
So, comparison implies conformity, inferiority or superiority. That's not a good brain, is it? Huh? Right? Are you doing it? Either in your dress or in your manner of speech or in your behavior. When you do not compare, your brain can only function. Your brain then has to deal with actually what is. Do you understand? Are you getting what I'm... Look, sir, if I don't compare myself with you who are clever, in comparison with you, I say who are clever, I say to myself, I am dull, right? Because I have compared myself with you who are cleverer, then I say I am dull, right? Do you follow this? Is it rather dull morning this morning? You're all here? Right. So I only know my dullness through comparison. If I don't compare, am I dull? Then the brain can deal with itself what it is, the quality of itself. I wonder if you get this. I have never compared myself with anybody, with nobody, and I really mean this. Either in my dress, in my behavior, in my thought, and so on. Never compared. So what happens to such a brain? So I wish you could discuss this with me.
Well, it's obviously becoming very free from the other mind, very independent, and it's just not a dull brain or a clever brain that just can go on.
No, what has taken place to such a brain? You understand what I'm asking?
Yeah.
If I don't compare, if I have no conflict, which are factors of deterioration, the brain then is not only free from these factors, but it can deal with its movement as it is. Oh no. It's a little too much for you. All right.
I see. You can see it too. I see it the other way around, so I can see it very easily if I compare. Right now, if I compare myself with somebody, it makes me stupid. It really makes me stupid.
Therefore, the factor of stupidity is comparison. If you don't compare, what's happened to the brain?
It has more energy to look at itself. It's not wasting the energy.
It's not wasting energy
Comparison.
through comparison, through conflict. So, I wish you...
Also, it can develop to its own capacity and not
Isn't
be
it?
hindered or
That's right.
by comparison.
So it becomes very sensitive. It can develop up to its highest capacity, which is prevented when it is comparing. You follow? So, a good brain is a brain which is not in conflict, not comparing. Therefore, it is not either superior or inferior or stupid. It becomes extraordinarily alive, sensitive. Right? Now, is your brain like that? And being young, can you have such a brain? And it's our responsibility to see that you have such a brain. You understand?
I think it's more of our own responsibility.
No. You see that? Then you are wrong. I'll show you. If you say, it's my responsibility that I have such a good brain, then you are isolating yourself. Aren't you?
Yes,
but your brain is the result of time, of evolution, of the environmental conditioning. You are the result of your environment. And you can't say, well, I will develop it according to my own responsibility. It's no meaning. Sorry, I'm not trying to browbeat you. You understand? So it is our responsibility, yours and mine.
But the brain which is wrong is as what is part of the comparison of the. So it comes from the world outside, of the world, which is of the comparison.
We said that.
So how are we going to? Because each of us.
Tunki, she said that it's my responsibility. I said, don't say it's my responsibility. If you say that, you're isolating yourself. Your brain is the result of your culture. American, English, whatever it is, your culture. The family, the environment, the education. And it is yours and ours responsibility to see that you have such a good brain.
Well, it boils down to the same thing, because the ours is kin. It's ours.
No, ours in the sense we used to get words. What I mean ours is you can't say I will develop my brain in relationship with each other. It is possible to develop such a brain, that's all. Huh? How?
Because when you're relating to somebody, you can or compare yourself and get your brain to be dull and so on, or you can just not compare. I mean, just I don't know how to say that, but you can develop it if you're not comparing and not judging anything.
We said that, isn't it?
Yeah, but you say, how can we
Look, sir. Look, sir. As I said, I feel it's my responsibility that when you leave this place, you have such a good brain. And I'm concerned with it. And I watch you. And we talk about it. We talk about it every day. I watch you, how you behave, how you eat, how you walk. I asked whether you're comparing, whether you're in conflict, so that we establish a relationship between each other. You follow? No?
But most of the time you are not here.
Huh?
But most of the time you are
Most of the time I'm not here. I'm sorry. I'm going there on Sunday. I know. I shan't be back till May. What shall I do? But that's why you have to have this understanding of what a good brain is. And demand the highest of that brain. Not the easiest way out of things. You follow what I'm saying? You see, if you use the brain rightly, if the brain uses itself rightly, it will never wear out. It may die with old age, you follow what I mean? It will never wear out its capacity to observe, to think clearly. Oh Lord. Therefore, I'll come back to it. Suffering takes place. You know what suffering is? Mr. Jenkins put it. He said, what is suffering? Do you know what suffering is? There is physical suffering. When you hit me, it hurts. So there is physical suffering, there is psychological suffering, there is a suffering which is going on in the world apart from me. There is my suffering and there is the suffering of the world. All those people that are getting killed in Vietnam, all those people who are in prison, whether they did right or wrong, that's irrelevant. The suffering of a mother who loses her son, dies. The suffering of a mother whose son becomes violent, cruel, vulgar, all the rest of it. So there is suffering, personal and non-personal. Are you following this? What is suffering? Discuss with me, please. I can't. What do you think is suffering? My son, whom I like very much, takes to drugs. Because every other idiot is also taking drugs. And I see how this drug is affecting his brain, his behavior. He's getting worse and worse. You follow? And I go through tortures because I can't prevent it. I'd like to, but I can't. If I forcefully prevent him, he'll run away. So I suffer for him. Right? Are you following this? Why do I suffer?
Because my attachment to him.
Huh?
Because my attachment to him.
Is it my attachment that makes me suffer?
It's losing that attachment.
Losing that attachment, is it? That makes me suffer? He's my son. I'm attached to him. And I want him to be healthy, alive, keen, sensitive, good brain and all the rest of it. And he goes to school and there he learns all the ugliness of, and destroyed. And I suffer. Why? Is it because I'm attached to him?
Partly a failure in yourself.
Huh?
Is it partly a failure in yourself?
Partly?
A failure within yourself.
Partly a failure in my love for him. I've failed. And therefore I suffer. Attachment. I have failed. Though I've done my very best. You follow? From childhood, I've seen to it. But yet he does this. And I have failed. And the failure hurts me. Is that the reason I suffer? Is it because I have an image of what he should be? Come on, you think it out. Why don't you think it out, all of you?
Because you've built up an image.
I have built an image about him, that's right.
And
see what happens.
You want him to
that's right.
compare equally to yourself.
Yeah, that is, I have built an image about him. That image is my projection of what I want him to be. And when he doesn't, I am hurt. I don't realize the image I have made. So I feel a failure. I am hurt. I shed a tear. I suffer. Attachment. Image. And the desire to make him conform. Though I say I love him. So I say to myself then, what is love? He's my son, my daughter.
Attachment.
Huh?
Attachment.
So is love attachment?
But it doesn't have to be.
Don't say it hasn't got to be. That's just an idea.
That's sort of.
The fact is I have. You see now, wait. A good brain doesn't deal with what should be. It deals only with what is. You get it? You will misuse your brain if you say, well, it should be that way. If he was that. If the ideal is that and you should. You follow? Which all indicates a brain that is incapable of facing itself as it is. Right. So I suffer through attachment, through the desire for him to conform to image which I have projected. And I feel desperately that I have failed altogether. So, is it self-pity that I suffer for my son? You know what self-pity is? I am pitying myself. Is it?
If it's because of the image, you feel it is. So
all these things are involved in it, aren't they? Attachment, the image I have built for him, the desire that he should be something, and my self-pity for myself. All these are involved, aren't they?
Excuse me, sir, can I just go back a bit? You said that a good brain is a brain that sees what it is. Isn't a brain that sees what it is a brain that sees
No,
itself?
what is, not what it is. A good brain doesn't move away from what is.
But what is, doesn't that include its own conditioning and its own part?
Therefore it goes into that.
So then a good brain will suffer.
No, I'm asking you, why should it suffer? I'm asking, what is suffering? Suffering comes when there is self-pity, when I have an image about my son that he should be, when I am attached. Self-pity, attachment, the image I have built about him.
Is it an image if you want your son to be one, alive, and two, healthy? Is that an image too?
No, I want him to be healthy. Yes. That's not an image.
Well, when does it become an image?
Image when I want him to be psychologically something which he's not.
Well, then if we could go, say the son is either sick or hurt or takes drugs or something that is not within the image, does one suffer differently over that? Does one not suffer? Where does suffering
No, my question was, what is suffering first? When my son becomes ill physically, and the doctor says, well, my dear chap, he won't live, then I suffer, because I'm attached to him. He is my immortality. I don't know if you understand this. I have invested in him my mortality. You understand? He will continue me. He's my property. He'll inherit my property. You follow my books, my house, all the rest of it, painting, whatever I have. He will continue what I am. And when he dies, I suffer. Right?
Is there a suffering, though, that is not with all that egotism? Is there the suffering of seeing another person?
I'm coming to that. I see what is happening in Vietnam. I see all those burnt children. I see all those maimed people, Americans and South Vietnamese and the communists. What do you do? Do you suffer?
Yes.
Huh? Do you suffer? Be careful.
No.
And use that word rightly. Do you suffer? That is. When you say yes, what do you mean by that?
Physically I don't suffer, but emotionally, psychologically.
You do psychologically. You suffer. Why?
So it seems that one suffers when one identifies with it, when I see the harm that is going out there in myself.
Look, I go to India, which is on the 6th of November. I'll be there in New Delhi. And I see poverty, of which you have no idea. People sleeping on pavements. There is all that extraordinary physical suffering, you understand, by human beings. Dirt, squalor, filth, everything around me. Do I suffer? I see people killing that pheasant, that rabbit. It's a sport called hunting. I see all this around me. Vietnam, the dull brain, the children who are born with, you follow, every kind of horrible little children are being born. And I see poverty in the East End, the vulgarity, the crudeness, the horror that's going on. Do you suffer? Come on, sir.
It makes me sad. I can't say I
It makes you sad. It makes you... What do you mean by that? Why? Why does it make you sad?
Because you feel responsible.
Is it because you feel that you are responsible and you can't do anything? Except march and demonstration? Go on, investigate it, look into it. When you see all this, what is your feeling? Sadness? And
guilty.
You want to prevent it?
Guiltiness.
Huh?
I feel guilty.
You feel guilty? Why? That you feel you are responsible for it?
Because you have also, like with the sun, built up an ideal of what...
Yes, no, my dear. Go into it. Go into much more. Much deeper issue is involved. I feel guilty. You know, I go to Rishi Valley, there's a school in the south of India, and there's a village nearby. And I see that woman with one sari, you know what sari is? The dress they have, and one shirt. Day after day, wearing the same filthy shirt and sari, never washed. I look at her. She passes me by every day. We smile at each other. I've talked to her. I don't know the language, but we sit down. I've sat with her and talked to her. She doesn't understand me, and I don't think I understand her. But we sit down. And I'm guilty, because I've clean clothes and she has not. What am I to do? Pursue it. What am I to do? I give her my shirt, whatever it is. I give her a little money, if I have it. What shall I do? She will remain poor, you follow? One sari or two saris now. But she is poor, uneducated, miserable, terrible state. What shall I do? If I can't do anything, do I become callous? I can't give her a new house. You follow? I can't give her a healthy body. I can't. So I may have perhaps give her more food, more clothes, more shelter. But beyond that I can't do anything. Are you following all this? What shall I do?
Be aware of these things.
No. Don't jump to that. What shall I do?
I was going to say it goes back to not comparing yourself.
Yeah.
No, wait, what shall I do?
Investigate why you feel guilty.
You're not.
But
what is my responsibility? I give her clothes, I give her this, I give her that, if I have. But it's much deeper, I have a deeper responsibility, haven't I? Huh?
So, she's a product of a sick society.
It is a damn sick society.
And I am
insane society.
And I am also the product of
so what is my responsibility?
Not to be sick. To be sane.
What shall I do?
To drop all that insanity.
I drop it. I am not insane. I'm very healthy. I've got good brain. I see all this. What shall I do? Beyond giving her or giving people this and that and join political organizations?
Shouldn't you respond to it every minute of the day?
Look, what shall I do? Tell me. Join a political group?
That would just perpetuate it.
What?
That would just perpetuate.
So I'm asking, what shall I do? Join a political organization that says, wipe out poverty, therefore elect me, therefore, you follow? He is ambitious, he is going to become the Prime Minister. By that time the poor woman is dead. So what is my responsibility?
Not to identify yourself with the society that created a situation in which...
I don't identify myself with that society. I'm not insane. I repudiate the culture, the whole thing out of my blood. What shall I do? I must do something.
Well, you've done all you can.
What have I?
Well, except maybe to, if she wants to.
Now you're missing my. I'm going to lead you into it. You are telling me what I should do. You are not applying it to yourself. Apply it to yourself. You see poverty. You see what's happening in Vietnam. You see the black and the white fighting. You follow? All the ugliness that's going on in the world. What's your responsibility?
Well, to get them to see the same point as you.
Huh?
Get them to get out of society. Get them to...
It's not so easy, is it? But you have to act in the meantime. So will you join a political party? No. Watch it. Step by step going. You will not join a political party because you know what that racket is. Then will you join all this social good work? You follow? No. Then what will you do? Go on, old boy. What will you do? No, you won't join any organization. You won't become a social worker. You won't become a Salvation Army. Jesus, save you. Have faith in Jesus, everything will be all right. So what will you do?
You can't go around giving everyone shirts or clothes.
So what will you do? Therefore, what will you do?
You have to... It seems like education, so everyone will get...
So what is your responsibility?
Well, to educate the people you will meet.
Huh?
To try to educate...
So what? Go on.
See that you're capable of giving education.
Therefore, what... Look, sir. You won't join any organization, right?
So your responsibility is to yourself?
Wait. First deny what is not. And then you'll come to the real thing. Don't imagine it, you follow? You won't join any organization which will improve society. You won't become a social worker. Going around doing a little bit of good here and there. You won't join any political communist party. Therefore, what will you do? Negate. You follow? Negate everything and you will come to the positive, which is you won't be a nationalist. Because that divides people. You won't belong to any religion. That divides people. Right? So then, when you have negated every crazy thing which society has invented, right? When you deny everything that society has created, you are intelligent, aren't you? Huh? Do you know what that word means? Come on, dear. Do you know what that word means? The meaning of that word.
You have a good brain.
Huh?
You have a good brain?
No. The meaning of that word, the dictionary meaning of that word, it means to have an alert mind. And also it means interleggere, to read between the lines. You get it? Gregory? Read between the lines. And to read between the lines, your mind has to be very sharp, awake. So, intelligence means to keep awake, have an alert brain, which can read between the lines.
What do you mean
by reading between the lines.
Oh, I am lost. What does it mean? You know, there are two, in a page, there is a gap, isn't there, between two lines? There is nothing to read there. But between the line means that thing which is not printed, but has a more subtle meaning. And you can only have see the subtle meaning in that space which is blank. Which means that your mind is also blank to look in that space. Got it? You get it? So, your brain, your mind, by repudiating, actually, not theoretically, wiping it out of your system, the insanity of the world, your brain becomes extraordinarily intelligent. Then it will act in a responsible way. You got it?
So the thing to do...
Not the thing to... Are you doing?
Right.
Do you belong? Are you... Has any of this world's poison in you? And so on, so on, so on. So, suffering implies attachment. The image that you have established for yourself or for another. Self-pity. And will there be suffering if you love? If I love my son, must I suffer? So I ask, is love attachment? Does love create an image about me, about my wife, my child, my neighbor? So when there is love, there is no suffering. No, this is, you don't know.
There's no son either, is there?
Huh?
There's no my son either, is there?
I have a son. What do you mean my son? I have a son. I have a brother. I have you sitting next to me. It's not my son, my wife. I have a wife. Huh? Do you see it? So, a good brain implies a brain that is very awake. A brain that reads between the lines. You might tell me, oh, I didn't mean that when you hurt me. When you say something which is not true and come up and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean that. I read between the lines. See, you really mean it, but you just want me to believe. You slur over it. You follow what I'm saying? I read between the lines. I can read between the lines crookedly or straight. A brain that has no self-pity at all. Do you understand this? It doesn't say, oh, I'm suffering. How terrible. You follow? I am lonely. So a brain that has no self-pity, which doesn't mean it is ruthless.
Doesn't mean there is no self-preservation too?
Huh?
Doesn't mean that one doesn't have the feeling of self-preservation? Self-survival.
I haven't got it. Tunke, what do you mean?
Doesn't mean that you said a brain that has not self-pity.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean that it hasn't got self-survival.
The survival. Of course it must survive. Of course it must have security. But you know what self-pity is, don't you? Mm-hmm. Don't you, Tunke? Self-pity. Yes, pitying itself. Oh, I wish I were different. Oh, I wish I was as beautiful as you.
But it relates together. Many people, because they feel insecure or something, they want to take as much as possible.
Of course.
So it relates with
Tunke, I think we're not understanding each other. I'm saying a good brain is a brain that has no self-pity whatsoever, without being ruthless. A good brain doesn't compare. A good brain is never in conflict. And a good brain has also this extraordinary quality of sensitivity and therefore love, affection. Now, if you are aware of that, is there suffering? I see all those people in Vietnam. I see the people in India. I walk down the street in the East End where there is slum, the ghetto, and all the things that are going on in the world. Am I callous because I am not attached? Am I callous because I have no self-pity? Am I callous or indifferent because I have no image? On the contrary, because I have no image, no attachment, no self-pity, there is love, there is affection, which is intelligent. That will operate. Right? Now, have you got such a good brain? That's my concern, right? Have you got it? And if you have not, what are you going to do about it? Just say, well, I haven't got a good brain like that. My God, that's too difficult. It's too impossible. And just rot. What will you do? Come on, so this...
Well, I, for myself, I haven't got such a good brain because I keep comparing.
Therefore, why do you if you see how destructive comparison, why do you go on with it? Which is what the world does. It says, I know it's very wrong, but I like alcohol. I know it's very wrong to smoke because it affects my lung, but I go on smoking. I know it's very wrong to be nationalist, but I love my country. I love my flag. Don't insult my flag. You follow? So why, when you see the falls, why don't you drop it?
Because you're attached to it.
No. That's it. Why don't, if you see you're attached to it, break the attachment. Why don't you?
We can see it. We can't.
Huh?
We can't see it.
Maybe we just don't want to.
Why don't you? You want to. So, those are all excuses. Then what? When you are young, can you have excuses for your late? You follow? As an old man, perhaps I can have excuses. But why do you have excuses?
The thing which sees is attached, and like it tries to separate, say this is attachment, but it still has that in it.
Yes,
and
but
it doesn't want
I went into it. I'm attached. Why am I attached to my son? or to my sister, mother, whatever it is. Why? Why am I attached? I am attached because it gives me pleasure. I am lonely without the companion. Right? I feel lost without having my wife neck around me. So, through my fear and pleasure, through my loneliness and ache, I am attached. If I see that, I can drop it, can't I? Which means, do I see the nature of attachment? What it does?
But there used to be advertisements of Indian children that were in a famine and starving, and you saw huge eyes and a huge head and an emaciated body. Are you saying that your feeling then, your reaction, is one of self-pity or attachment?
No. No, I'm not saying that. I see those children with large head, bloated stomach, thin hands, arms and legs. What's my reaction? What's your reaction? Sadness? Do you suffer? Or do you say, thank God he's not my son? What's your reaction? What's your responsibility when you see something like that? If you say, how terrible, I'm suffering for that, and then what?
If you say how terrible I am suffering, then the emphasis is on my suffering.
Of course, of course, of course.
If you say how terrible that child is suffering.
How terrible, I say that. But what is my responsibility? What am I to do about it? Shed tears? And go without meals?
I'm sad because I don't see clearly my relationship to it.
No, you don't see clearly what your responsibility is. To that thing, to that Vietnam, to black and white fighting, all the things that are going on, the insanity. What is your relationship to this insane, mad world? You have a relationship with it when you are part of it, when the world, which is insane, and as you are also the world, if you are also insane, your relationship is either violence, shedding a tear, or saying, my God, I'm going to join this group or that group, and fighting to produce a better world through killing people. But if you are not insane, which means do not belong to the world at all, you are a total outsider, then you have a totally different responsibility. Right?
And that's why I'm here.
What?
I say that's why I'm here.
That's why you are here. So what is your responsibility? To the students, to you, me, or to another of your age, or younger or older, what's your responsibility?
Todo lo que el mundo es requiere una acción inmediata, instantánea.
Justo.
Y hay una sola.
You understood what she said?
No.
Why not?
Can't speak
He said there is only one action. which is immediate. And what is that action?
It's seeing, understanding, seeing in the right way. I mean, if you respond to it in the right way, seeing is immediate, isn't it?
So there is an immediate action, isn't there? When I see all this going on, either if I have money, I give it. Right? But I won't join this, that, no, I'm out. But I act totally in a different way. The world is insane and its actions will always be insane. If I am outsider, that is out of this insanity, my action towards the world, which is insane, will be entirely different. Right? So what is am I sane? You understand? Or am I still insane? Is there still in me some of the poison of the world? So all this implies, this morning's discussion, talking over together, implies that as long as one is in the world with its insanity, your responses to all the misery, all the conflict will be insane. Right? And that's what they're doing. Did you see the other night the Catholic priest performing in a Protestant cathedral? They're bringing unity in the church. You understand? You know what that means? Both are insane. And yet trying to bring unity. We find it's also, look at the United Nations, what it is, in which there are people, governments which are tyrannical, dictatorial, military, democratic, and trying to bring unity. So, one has to begin with oneself, because oneself is the world. Right? You can't do anything if you are insane. You will do insane things. So one must be outside the world asylum. Therefore, you will have to see if you are sane. If your mind is really healthy, which means your body is healthy. Have you got a healthy body? Gregory? That means to have good, supple body. Sit rightly, walk. Highly sensitive body. And you've got a good brain. Mind, a brain that is not in conflict at any time. A brain that is not comparing. A brain that is not self-pitying. A brain that doesn't create images and conform to that image. You follow? And therefore, highly intelligent brain. Alert, can read between lines. If you have not, why haven't you got it? Right? And what are you going to do about it? What you will do about it can be seen whether you are, if you undertake something to do it thoroughly. Right? If I want to play guitar, I'm going to learn guitar and be as good if I can as Segovia. Not comparing that capacity, that feeling for music. If I do gardening, I'm going to do. You follow? If I take math, I demand the highest capacity from myself. No?
Even though it's a mechanical task?
Which big one, sir?
If it's a mechanical, if it's a routine job.
Even that. I do a lot of routine job. I know it's routine. But that routine job doesn't make my mind routine. You're following all this? Will you do it? So one has to watch one's behavior. How you behave. You know, when I was in the old, about 100 years ago, and more for centuries, children were brought up in a very rigorous, brutal manner. Mm-hmm. We had to prostrate to the father and mother every morning and evening, touch their feet. You know what that means? Go flat on the ground and touch their feet, to show respect due to them. They might be the most stupid parents, but you have to show respect. When they were in the room, you never talked. You only talked when they asked you something. Otherwise, you never talked. You got up when they came into the room, instantly. You follow all this? And when they told you to sit up quiet, you sat quiet. Never move your hands. So, we were brought, till I was about 8 or 9, I was brought up like that. You're following all this? And if I followed that, imitated that, that's not behavior, is it? Behavior comes when there is a consideration for another, when there is a respect for another, right? If I sat in the room with my feet on the desk, and Mrs. Simmons came in, I talked to her that way. Would it be right? Would it be right?
Well, it depends. If everybody do that, then it is the custom that.
I'm not talking of everybody. I'm asking you, Tunke. You're sitting at a table with your feet sitting on a chair with your feet on the table, and Mrs. Simmons came in, and you didn't get up. Would it be right behavior?
Depends whether.
Considering.
Would it be right behavior?
considering...
No, I don't consider my art.
No. You said to take consideration, so I consider the other person whether they mind or not. If they mind, it's...
She may not mind. She might say, well, you are perfect ass, you have no sense of behavior. But if you... No, but what is your action? Forget who it is. What is your action?
It's within you to decide.
Huh?
Isn't it within you to decide?
I'm asking you, what is your action?
You mean, what would I do? I would get up.
Why?
Because I would feel that it would be disrespectful not to.
That's all. Which means you have consideration for another. You have respect for another. It doesn't matter who it is. Right? That's all. So behavior implies that in your action there is respect for another. Some year, when I used to go by bus in London, underground, when it was crowded, I used to get up, give a place to the lady. One lady, when I got up, she looked, getting up for me? What for? She said. I said, please sit down. She said that the first time somebody offered me the chair. You follow? When it's crowded. I said, take it. You know, it's gone. All that's gone in the world. Behavior, respect, consideration.
But there is a different consideration, a real feeling of consideration than custom.
No, custom, I'm not talking of habit and custom. Custom is when moment a lady comes into the room, you get up.
Yes,
that's a custom. Because you don't, that's a habit. You follow? I'm not talking of that.
No, but now we come to a point where somebody who is used to this custom will get hurt if you don't do that.
I am not talking about that other person. I'm talking about you. What you do. If you have respect for another, you can't hurt if you get up out of respect.
And if you don't get up out of respect...
why don't you get up?
Just because, say, you have your feet on the desk, right?
Yeah.
And Mrs. Simmons walks in, and you take your feet off the desk. Now and you consider that to be polite.
I wouldn't consider that polite.
And if I don't...
I wouldn't consider that polite. I would consider polite to take my feet quickly off the desk, get up. Because I have respect. Not for Mrs. Simmons only, but for anybody that comes into the room.
But isn't that conditioned respect?
No. You see how... Is that conditioning? Examine it.
To me it is.
Don't assert it. Don't say, to me it is. Find out. Is it conditioning?
I've been told it's
nobody has told me to get up. I don't act out of habit because every person gets up. I do it because I have respect. I feel for people. You follow? I feel for people. Whether it is the cook, whether it is anybody, I feel for them. And I feel if I don't offer my hand or salute them or get up or show my respect, you follow? It makes me uncomfortable. That's all.
But other people might show it differently. I mean...
Well, I'm not concerned. They're insane.
By one's action, one is doing a non-verbal kind of communication, which in this case is respect. When you go to India, you don't shake hands, you give the Indian...
Look, when I go to India, I sit on the floor. I eat on the floor. They put a banana leaf or a plate sitting on the floor. I put on Indian dress. I salute. No shaking hands. And When anybody comes into the room, I get up. They are horrified because a guru, a religious teacher of my stature, they don't get up. They're all, they're treated like dirt. And I get up. They're surprised. And I say, forget it. So, I show respect, I feel respect for another. And out of that respect, behavior becomes natural. It isn't force, it isn't a habit, it isn't a custom. I can get up when Mrs. Simmons comes to the room because she's the boss of the place or authority, and I want something from her. Right? You follow all that. I won't do all those things. I like people. So behavior means a mind, a brain that is sensitive to other people, not to itself. You follow? Therefore, it matters very much how I eat. The way I hold the fork or a knife. If I have my elbows out, I'm pushing everybody out and all the rest of it. So to me, behavior comes out of deep respect for another. If you have no respect for another, why haven't you? That means you're thinking about yourself. So a good brain implies all this. You understand, sir? And it has got beauty in it. You understand? Let's stop, isn't it? It's 8 minutes to.